Welcome back to the KWCH Origin Show. I'm happy to be joined by Caleb Milby. He's an actor out of got your education here in Rose Hill. He's got a new movie coming out called Learning You. It opens Friday, January 16th in theaters, including some around here in Wichita. Caleb Milby, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very good. Tell us about this movie. I know that's kind of a broad question, but Learning You is the name of it. You have a leading part in it playing Elijah. So, who's Elijah and what's this film all about?
So Elijah is an autistic teenager, and the movie's about his dad and him reconnecting on a road trip to see the ocean.
Yeah, so how did you get involved in this movie? You've been in a lot of productions, you've been in commercials, in plays. So how did you become involved in this?
Yeah, so it was kind of a normal audition process, but a little different my agent texted me and she asked if I knew anybody like family or friends with autism. I don't. And so I said no. And she said, "You want to give it a shot anyways? There's this movie that's casting." And I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And then just went through the process, flew out to meet the crew, and everything worked out.
You told me before we started talking here that you had to keep this a secret for a year. What's that about? Who could you not tell about this?
Oh, no, not necessarily like I couldn't tell anybody, but just that like you go through the whole production process, you go through casting, and then all the news kind of trickles in on what's going on with it, and then it finally comes out. So now, me knowing the whole plot and everybody's seen the poster and the trailers and all this stuff, so now they get to see it for themselves, and it's not just like for me and the crew anymore.
So you said you don't know any autistic people necessarily. So how did you research this role? What did you do to kind of become that character?
Yeah, I did some volunteer work, spending time with autistic people, and then a ton of articles and just watching videos and really just soaking up as much as I could.
Yeah, you had to play an autistic character, and then in flashback scenes, you play a non-autistic character that your father and your character's father is imagining. So, what was the challenge there to kind of go back and forth?
Um, it wasn't that huge of a jump for me. It just felt like because we shot the non-autistic scenes kind of towards the end. So it was really just like getting back to basics for me, and I got to kind of relax
Yeah.
for a little more than normal than I was used to on that one.
Yeah, this movie is based off kind of a true story of a family that experienced similar things to what your character and his family in this movie goes through. So, how important was that authenticity, and what kind of ways was that message delivered on set? Like this has to be as real as possible.
It was a constant thing. It was super important to me and everyone else there. We had a lot of safety nets for me, so to speak, and that, the writer wrote it inspired by him and his autistic son. One of our producers has an adult autistic daughter, and then the guy that plays my dad, John Wells, his son is autistic on a similar level as my character. So just having those resources and being able to go back and forth on anything, is this a realistic reaction? Would it go this way? And just working those things out, they were a huge help in staying authentic.
So this is a road trip movie. You're going to tell me like you stayed within a 5 mile radius, but just in case, I have to ask: did you get to go anywhere cool? Did you see any cool sights on the actual road trip?
Yeah, yeah, we filmed most of it in a sound stage in southern Indiana, but we did do about a week in Myrtle Beach.
That's pretty cool, right? What was had you been to Myrtle Beach before? I almost died in Myrtle Beach, but that's another
What?
story for another day. I almost drowned in the Atlantic Ocean, but hey, that's neither
Oh man.
here nor there. We made it. Wait,
Um, yeah, Myrtle Beach was super cold. It was the middle of February, and we wanted sort of a beachy-ish vibe. So it was really overcast and cloudy, but we couldn't wear any jackets, super windy, and then of course, you have the ocean breeze too. So we were all freezing, but it was cool.
yeah, it's not bad to go from southern Indiana to the beach, even if it is cold, right?
Yeah.
So, what's the message of this film, would you say?
Um, I think it's all about acceptance and empathy. There's a lot of truth in the story. And so people can kind of put themselves in a pair of shoes that they wouldn't normally, because it's really easy for people to say you're like out at a restaurant or something and there you have an autistic person or anything and someone has an outburst, you know, and people can feel really inconvenienced by something like that, but they don't think about the parents and what they're going through and trying to manage the whole situation. So just that new perspective and putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, what did you kind of learn about autism? It's a spectrum, like they say. So, it might not even be discernible in some people. So what did you learn about autism as you spent time around these people?
It's just so broad. I
Yeah.
mean, you can talk about the spectrum, but like you said, some people are nonverbal and some people are, you can't even tell. So just that the range of it is just massive. And we have an autistic actor in the movie. He plays my friend Seth, or the character's name is Stefan. His name is Seth.
Okay.
And just spending time with him, it was just such a pleasure. So, so caring and such a pure heart. I mean, he's just a joy to be around.
I got to ask you as a wrestling fan, I don't know if you like wrestling, but Al Snow is in this movie. He was a WWE guy back when I was growing up. Did you get I think you spent a lot of time with him because he plays a bear, right? That you are attached to in some way. So what
Yeah.
was it like working with Al?
He's very funny. He's very funny in person and in the movie. He plays a talking polar bear who is my dad's kind of subconscious. He represents that because my stuffed bear I carry with me throughout the movie, and then Al appears in the suit, just a giant polar bear suit. Very nice guy, very funny, just a fun time to be around, cracking jokes.
What can you say about the rest of the cast? How much did you enjoy working with some of them?
Oh, a ton. I spent so much time with John Wells, the guy that played my dad, and um, actually we had some bad weather while we were there, and I was staying in an Airbnb. John lived like an hour away, so he usually just went home and came back during the day, but he would come over during those days where he didn't want to drive if it was icy or flooding or whatever, and we'd stay up late watching bad movies and just hanging out, getting to know each other. It was really cool.
So I want to talk about your background, but just real quick, how can people here in Wichita and elsewhere, access your movie and find it?
Yeah, you can find the website at learningu.com. You can see the list of theaters on where it's playing, and it's updated every day. So there might not be a theater one day, but the next day there could be one close.
Is there an event in Derby coming up tomorrow on Friday? Did I read something about that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be at a 7 o'clock showing at the Derby Theater and doing a meet and greet after.
All right, so let's get into your background. I know you've been acting from a really young age. So how did that begin, and why was acting something that you knew at a young age that you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, I always had an interest in it. I loved movies. I loved TV. What really happened was I prayed that I would have a dream that God would show me what I would be as I grew up. And in the dream, I was an actor. And so I started doing theater and going down that path, and a lot of doors opened.
Yeah, you did some plays in Rose Hill, right? How long did you go to school in Rose Hill? Was that K through 12 for you?
No, no, I was only there for middle school and one semester of high school.
Okay, so you won a Jester Award, right?
Yeah, I did.
From one semester at Rose Hill High. That's pretty impressive. So
I
how
was
did
in middle school actually for
Oh,
that
okay,
one.
my bad. That's
No,
pretty
that's
impressive.
fine.
That's even more impressive.
Thank you.
So how did theater help you as a young person? You obviously have advanced beyond that, but what did you gain from being in school and attending theater class and things like that?
Uh, just experience, it made me grow as an actor. It was obviously my start, and so that was my baseline. Um, Maybe helped get out of my shell, get comfortable being on that platform kind of in front of people.
Yeah, that's an interesting point talking about getting out of your shell. How much does becoming another person on stage or on screen, how much does it help you find yourself?
I think it's hit or miss. Some can really help, change your perspective, and some, I wouldn't say you're going through the motions, but they're more familiar. And so you've kind of covered that ground before.
Yeah.
But definitely, it can have an impact on you for sure.
I saw that you did Improv 101 at UCB Theater out in LA, right? So that's a pretty big deal. What did you gain from that, and why did you want to do improv for a little while?
Improv's so important, whether you're doing an improv show or just, a regular shoot, just staying on your toes and being able to try to dig yourself out of certain holes, find your way around, and that's sometimes where the best moments come from. So you can apply that to acting and life, just staying relaxed and on your toes.
What other life skills do you think you have or have gained along the way that have helped you as an actor?
Um, Outside of acting, like what has helped
Yeah.
towards acting? Oh man, I don't know. I've been doing it for so long, so much of it's just like wrapped up.
Or even skills that you've learned along the way in within acting that have allowed you to broaden your horizons a little bit.
Yeah, it's made my memory pretty good. I used to, I took an acting class in LA for a long time, and I got to the point where I would show up sometimes the day of the class without really looking at my scene. And so they give you like a half hour interval to work it and figure out what you're doing with your scene partner and all that. And so I would have it memorized like 3, 4, 5 page scenes in 20 to 30 minutes. So it helped sharpen my mind for sure.
Yeah, for sure. When you're a young actor, and you're not as young, obviously, as you were when you started, but do you start to discern what projects you'll take on? Are there more no's, or are you a guy that wants to pursue every opportunity and just say yes to things?
Early on, you kind of have to say yes to everything. It's so competitive. You just have to take whatever comes your way. Certain things, like if something just really doesn't feel right, obviously don't do it. But for the most part, I was just doing pretty much everything that came my way.
What's the kind of the next level for you? Where do you want to go in your career? How quickly do you think you can make that happen?
Oh man, it's so unpredictable. I mean, you can go like 2 months without an audition, and then you have like 10 in a week. So it's completely out of my control. I like to go as far as I can. Who knows where the sky is, but I like to get there if I can.
How do you manage that downtime when maybe is a month or two between auditions? You just go crazy, or do you kind of understand that it's cyclical and then they'll come your way again?
A little bit of both. I know it'll come around eventually, but that downtime in between, just stay busy however you can.
Yeah. And just going back to this movie, what does this represent for you in your career? You've had lead roles before. Is this one of the bigger productions that you've worked on?
Definitely. Yeah, this is a big one for me. I had a small theatrical release in 2020, but it kind of got cut short by COVID.
Yeah.
So this is a my first real theatrical release, and I get to come and share it with my hometown, and everyone can see it.
Yeah, we're really excited to see you in Derby on Friday. That's January 16th. For those who may be watching it later on, Caleb, really appreciate your time. Congratulations on the success that you've had so far, and that you are surely going to have moving forward. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it as well.
Thanks a lot.